Five, four, three, two, one.
All systems go.
You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by.
On the morning shift.
Anything
Could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh, and we are on CKLU 96.7 as far as I know. Everything's working well here, but for some reason I'm not hearing it. And Billy, if you can just text me on your way to work just to see. Not sure what's happening, but every day is a new kind of learning experience here as we are on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, many platforms through CKLU, the Radio Player Canada app. If you download that, you can listen to us anywhere, anytime on your favorite device. You can listen to us CKLU.ca if you have the Firefox browser. All the other ones, for some reason, on my end anyways, whenever I've tried to use them, don't seem to work for some reason. And even the Radio Player Canada app, I tried to get it for my dad this weekend, and for some reason the sound wasn't coming through on it. So I'm not sure what's happening exactly. I'm going to check in here and see if we have anything on CKLU. It doesn't sound like anything is coming through. So again, oh yes, I got it. Hey, we'll be right back after this. Hang on, guys. Actually, I have a guest today. I'm going to introduce him while I get this up and running. We have Pierre Bonhomme on. Pierre, just tell us a little bit about yourself, how we know each other, why you're on the show, and just feel free, be yourself and whatever, because you're awesome. So give us a little bit of your background while I set this up for our listeners.
Yeah, really happy to be here. This is lots of fun for me. We've been talking about doing this for so long. We've known each other for quite a while now, I think. I don't even remember how we met. I think it was through Sean.
A mutual
Lamont.
friend,
We were talking
Sean.
about, yes, friend, a long time ago, probably I'm going to say 8 years ago now, maybe. And we've been talking politics and culture and film and media and everything for years. So here we are. It's kind of good to be here. I'm a Sudbury born and raised guy. Went away for many, many years to all the big cities around the world and came back to my hometown. And I kind of have it's a bit of a love-hate relationship with this place. It has so much potential, which I see, and that's why I'm here. I love the lifestyle, love the people, but it has a lot of problems too. And my background in architecture and my experience living in different places, I think I have a few ideas on how we can make it better. So maybe that's what we can talk about today.
You know what? I'm glad you gave that background, because you're exactly right on that. Having the architecture background, and let's dive right into it. Now, you said you have been kind of out of the loop with news and things. They just recently, voted down the KED idea, the new arena. Mm-hmm. So we saw the story on Sudbury Star talking. There was a letter talking about what if we included the now legendary Bruce Mao from Sudbury. Mm-hmm. And give us a little bit of background in the planning of the city. That's what the article says. Give us a little bit about, you said you know him, and so a little bit about that. Well, and then yeah.
Well, no, I don't. We're not friends or anything like that, but I've followed his career for years because he's a Sudbury boy for sure. And years ago, when I was a young kid in art school in Toronto, he came in and did some talks and stuff like that. And so I was just fascinated by how this guy created this interesting career. He kind of merged sort of strategic planning, architectural design, city planning, graphic design. He's basically a design thinker, which is very kind of meta, high level sort of way of thinking about everything. And his career turned from, I think, just straight up graphic design. He used to design books and websites and things. Actually, this was even before websites. So books and then websites, and then that turned into he would consult with big brands, Coca-Cola, and just I forget all the different companies he's worked with, but huge brands. And then he created this thing called Massive Change, which was sort of a design approach to things. And one of the projects that really struck me years ago, I'm going to say probably 15, 20 years ago now, the government of Guatemala brought him in because the country was troubled and they were trying to reinvent themselves. And he kind of helped them design a new system for the government, basically, on how the people can operate, how they can access the government. So he took the sort of idea of physical design and created a more efficient and more productive way to do things. So when he was up here, I'm going to say 10 years ago, he did a talk at Cambrian. And he had the brilliant idea. He said Sudbury is a city in the park. We have to change the way we think about it. And so the idea, one example was when we're driving up from 69 into the city, it's really beautiful and all the wilderness and trees and rocks and everything. And then all of a sudden you get to the city and it's ugly. Parking lots, ugly warehouses. There's no welcoming. There's nothing. So he was talking about that should be like the biggest impact entrance to the city. It would give it a tourism angle. It would give it, sort of an economic development feel if there were some standards to raise the bar of design generally. And we really don't think that way here right now, So I think having him come in, it might change things. So it's not just, parking, the width of streets and, economics. There's a lot more to quality of life to a city. So I think that's his approach. And I think it could help because whatever we're doing right now isn't working.
So did you say you saw the documentary on him as well, or no? Because it was just playing here recently.
Was that the Sudbury Indie Cinema?
Correct.
Did a Zoom with the audience there as well after too. Yeah.
So I'm not sure what happened recently in the city, but we really kind of lost a vision. I don't know. This is some of the things we've been talking on the show, and I apologize for those that chime in each and every day because we've been really beating this horse about the city and the planning and all that, and the fact that we can't build a new arena. We have the oldest OHL franchise city in the OHL that doesn't have a new arena. All the other ones have a new arena or a refurbished arena. We don't. That's interesting. We have the only major university in the country that's ever gone bankrupt, as far as I know, and so that's interesting. And this is all just recently, but yet we've greenlighted $100 million legacy project in downtown where the arena was originally, the idea that a downtown arena could have, either been refurbished or been a new one downtown. But they greenlighted a $100 million project, which was a library and, art gallery and theater similar to Place des Arts, which they just built down the road. And so you end up with, 9 theaters in town. They just greenlighted 2 outdoor theaters. And we're just not sure really what's going on. It seems like it's just everything's discombobulated.
It is a bit strange. I'm not sure how I feel about all of that. I mean, to me, I'll leave out where the arena should go. We definitely, I think, I'm a big supporter of downtown. So I think it really needs TLC. It really needs some nurturing. I honestly don't feel a library and an art gallery are going to save downtown. Art gallery is an amazing institution, and so is the library. They're both really important. They are not going to generate a node of economic development that an arena or even a movie theater generates. Like there's hundreds of people walking en masse to and from an event is very, very important. So Place des Arts, I think, is a wonderful addition to downtown. I've been watching it. It's pretty cool. They're doing a lot of stuff there, and it's going to have some spin-off, but it's not at the scale of a hockey game. It's just not. And the arena has concerts with thousands of people, and so whether that were located downtown or whether that's located out on the Kingsway, it's going to create economic development where it is, no matter what. So leave out all the politics and all of that. I was kind of agnostic on it. I preferred it to be downtown personally, but I totally understand why they're putting it out there. the yeah, I mean, this I just don't think the library. I just really don't think a library and an art gallery are going to save downtown. That art gallery gets maybe, if they're lucky, 50 people a day walking in there. So if it's downtown, okay, maybe they get 200 a day. An arena, 2,500 a night, 4 times a week. You know, talk to the owners of the bars and restaurants. You know, they have their staffing is in a probably 25%. I believe it was the townhouse owners. They said something like, if when the arena leaves, they're gonna lay off 25% of their staff instantly for those nights. So that's just a small number, right? So the theaters, I mean, Sudbury Theater Center is too small. It's you know, I'm not an expert on that, but it's definitely not big enough. But the reason the size of it was determined by union regulations. It has 299 seats. I don't know how I know this. If it's over 300, they have to. It's a whole different scale of budgeting and stuff. So that's so it's really hard to make money on it. Theater is expensive. It's very expensive. It's a labor of love. I love going to the theater, but man, it's expensive. You mentioned the outdoor theater. That's there's in that vacant lot across from the YMCA downtown. There's a small little project going in there, which I think is a kind of a cool addition. It's not a big budget at all. It's run by Alessandro, who's the young theater guy who started Yes Theater, and now he's at the STC as well. So he inherited that. I'm not sure the budget, but in my head, I think it's something like 25,000. So it's kind of an outdoor structure that they're building. I think it's good for Durham Street. We really need to revive that. To me, that makes a lot of sense, but $100 million is, to me, a little bit insane right now when we have people, you know, dying in the streets downtown. We got to address other issues.
Yeah, is his name Alessandro Constantini? Is that name ring a bell with you? The one who's the Yes Theater guy?
That's him. Yeah, I've known him since he was a kid. Yeah, teenager. Yeah.
Now he's done a remarkable job doing what he's done. So just recently, SDC and Yes Theater Group, you know, that came out of the blue too. So a lot's been going on in Sudbury, obviously, right? So all this is going on while SDC and Yes Theater Group kind of merges out of nowhere in a way for all of us. Maybe for people in the arts community, it wasn't as much of a surprise. But
I think it was a surprise for everyone.
Was it?
I think yes, because they had to have a town hall meeting after the announcement. People were concerned. You know, other people in the theater arts community, I guess, how did this happen?
So they were also okay. So we weren't the only ones.
No, everybody was surprised.
Okay,
yeah.
So that's what I'm wondering about. You know, it's just really interesting what's going on in the city. Perfect time to have a news talk show. I'm thankful that we're doing what we're doing because it makes for a lot of banter about things. It's not dry. I'll tell you that much. I mean, as a critic, especially as a critic, I mean, oh my goodness, it's just low hanging fruit all over the place. It's harvest season right now. It's incredible. And scratching my head over everything that's going on. It doesn't seem like anything's kind of planned out. It's just things are just dropping out of the sky.
Here's the one thing that boggles my mind, and it's been an issue since I've been back here since, when did I move back here? 2013. That's when I really kind of planted my roots back here again. And we are not following our master plan, our official plan, like the stuff that they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on, hired all these experts and consultants where they just do this document and then it kind of goes out the window. They follow the roads. They built Maley Drive. Okay. And that's a very positive thing. They've done a few things, but it just seems like they leave out a lot of things out of convenience. And I personally think the downtown is love it or hate it. It is the heartbeat of the city. And it reflects how people really see themselves and how. So if you live, you know, out on, out in Skeed or in on the other side of Ramsey Lake or in Moonglow, I talked to a young fellow the other day. We met for coffee downtown, and he had been down since 15. He's a university graduate. Like, oh, it's kind of cool down here. I brought him to Cabo. We met up for coffee and for something, and he had no idea He had never been downtown for years, not even to a Bulls game. And I said, really? That's interesting. He's like, well, I just go to the mall. So there's a kind of the heart has kind of been ripped out, and that's maybe it's not planned, but it's a result of planning. I mean, when I was a teenager, I lived on Elm Street, right downtown, right just past the courthouse, and I would walk downtown, and it was hustle and bustle through all the sidewalks, everywhere. Old people, young people, movie theaters, restaurants. You went shopping. There were cars parked everywhere. So I don't know. That's something you got to think about. I mean, we're going to have expansion outside the city, whether we have a downtown or not, but it has to go in tandem. And I think we need a separate, its own vision in a way. And I think maybe the Bruce Mallow idea, it might do it. He knows how to pull these things together. I personally think it should come from the private sector, and I think they should free up some of the regulation and maybe some of the taxing, but that would never happen here. They like their high taxes. So. Like the city of Providence, Rhode Island, years ago did this. It was a dangerous, terrible, terrible downtown. I'm going to say 25, 30 years ago. Actually more than that, because it would have been in the 80s. It was pretty much run by, organized crime. It was very dangerous. The city came in and they just made some kind of executive order. They designated a zone and they said anyone locating in here, whether it's new building, renovation, pays no property tax for X amount of years, and no companies can come in here if they're a chain. So it had to be local, regional, private sector, do whatever you want, make it better. Now, you cannot rent. I mean, it created gentrification, obviously, because there's a university and an art college there. It created extreme gentrification. So now it's the swankiest, coolest, and it's a beautiful old city, right? It's a gorgeous old port city. But what they did was they flipped it completely. So it would be like, imagine Durham Street, above all those stores, it would be, expensive hipster condos. That's basically what they did. And then nice restaurants, really good foods, grocery stores and all those things. They had a public housing component, but it's interspersed. So it's not like, 400 units of addiction recovery. It's 2 units here, 1 unit there. Anyway, there's ways to do it, right? But we just don't think that way here. They just look at numbers and they just keep spinning the wheels. I don't know. It's downtown is Zilla. It's a different animal,
Well, I'm glad you brought up a few things. Yeah, you brought up a few things there, and one of them was how busy downtown used to be. Like you look at these, old videos that you see on different Facebook pages, people share or pictures, and there's a lot of traffic. It looks vibrant. There's all kinds of things going on, and like you just mentioned. Everyone says, yeah, but that's the way downtowns are going now with the big box stores. Everyone's going outside of these, these urban sprawl kind of thing. But you just mentioned some a modern day example of where someone was able to turn that around and use modern day ideas to kind of revert that and come back to a very robust kind of centralized part of the city where everyone can meet. That's the idea, right? Everyone comes for a reason. Everyone's going to come together, and you need things to come together too. Now the city has thought $100 million library might be that thing to build it in the only parking spot we have downtown right across from Tom Davies Square and continue the Sudbury Wolves playing in the old arena, and now there's less parking for the Sudbury Wolves and not any more park. I haven't heard any plans for a parking structure. I mean, this is like, I can't even imagine. Maybe they're thinking of the year 2030 where everyone's, flying around like the Jetsons and can park in the sky. I have no idea, but they're not really thinking rationally as far as I'm concerned.
There were plans a few years ago. There was a company that specifically develops mixed use. And when I was on the Downtown Village Development Corporation, which was sort of a nonprofit to bring in private sector, there was a company that was willing to do it, but they would only do it if the arena stayed downtown. So their model was street level retail. So you'd have, food, restaurants, whatever. Then 2 levels of office and 2 levels of parking top that. And I think that was 5 or 6 spaces. And I won't say where because it was in partnership with somebody downtown. And they were going to do that. They said, we're not doing it unless that arena is guaranteed. So there was a kind of a chicken and egg there. And that was a private, that was not, had nothing to do with the government. These guys have a business model that works. They're in St. Catherine, Hamilton, all over the place. And they generally follow arenas, you know. But yeah, so you're talking about the big boxes. That has been a big detriment to the downtown because it wasn't planned in tandem with what it's going to replace, right? You have to redefine what the downtown is. If you look at a city like Nashville, another city that had a terrible, very dangerous downtown. They have the stadium downtown now, and it's just flipped completely. My brother's been there twice, and he raves about it. He said it completely changed it. So they have parking. There's parking structures. There's big parking structures, and they can be profitable if the city lets you do it, right? But there's a lot of regulation, and it's tricky to get certain things built, especially downtown, because of the remediation. There's a lot of toxic land here downtown.
So if I can oversimplify my kind of vision of what I think the city is kind of like, if you look at the city as a sandbox, you know, the geography of the sandbox, but then you have inside the sandbox, you have someone representing the city, you know, a child that, let's say, is the administration, the bureaucracy, the ones that are elected. So that's all encapsulated in one child who's like, this is my sandbox, you know, and the other kids are in there. They're in there too. They got to play in it because it's everyone's, you know, designated to be in that sandbox. Like my sandbox, you can only play by my rules. And then other people have good ideas and they're like, no, it's mine and I'm going to control everything. You want to play with my car? Okay, you can only play with it for 5 minutes, then you got to give it back to me, or things like that. Instead of just saying, okay, it's everyone's sandbox. Let's all work together and you know, because they want to do it. They want to build the parking structure. They don't want someone else to come in. They want to make the money off of it. And then they want to overtax it as if they owned it and making profit off it. And then it's not profitable for the private investors. So it's like really backwards. And now we're seeing the results of the backwards thinking. We're seeing it with a bankrupt university. We can't build an arena, whether it's downtown, outside. We're taking up parking spaces to build libraries, for crying out loud. In 2020, going to be 25. Like, this is, to me, I would say it's a bit insane. If a psychiatrist was to analyze this, I would say that has elements of insanity.
Well, I mean, the question is always, right, who benefits? So
yeah. But the city ultimately benefits when the private sector is able to flourish. The city does benefit, right? And I don't know if they realize that or not.
I mean, really, if you were starting from zero, it's like, okay, here's a clean slate. What can you do? What do you need to do with this central part of the city? Increase tax base and basically businesses, housing, and increase the tax base. So you do want, I mean, as much as we don't like it, we want real estate prices to go up in some ways, because then you increase your tax base. You want thriving businesses. You know, there's all these really gutsy entrepreneurs opening these little businesses downtown, and that's a scary venture, you know, especially now, but even before COVID. But there's some places that are thriving, but these people they're gutsy, they're committed. And they're hiring people. Like Respect is Burning is a perfect example, right? That you know, Rob Gregorini is just committed to downtown and to his business. And now we have Pepe's, which is thriving. So there's people taking risks and doing it, and they're all, you know, I don't know how many employees they have, but I'm sure Respect has 40 employees working, making money, people spending money. That's probably going to generate more economic development than a library in a year. I would bet, other than, you know, there's no cost to that place. So I don't know. I don't have a problem with the new library, but I don't think it's the solution. I think there's other ways to do it. And I think supporting smart, the majority of job creation in the country is small businesses. I believe it's under 20 is the number. I forget the exact stat, but I was reading somewhere, but the majority of employment and economic development is created by small business owners. And those aren't rich people, but they're risk takers. And I think essentially downtown is a place for people to try new ideas, to take risk, to, you know, open your bakery or your bar or your music studio or whatever it is. And then you're going to have, like, right by the coffee place across from Respect, there's a bunch of musicians that live upstairs. They've been living there for years. They spend money. They live they're totally downtown people. They don't even have cars. And there's that's one sort of weird little, tiny little example of a little microcosm. They work in bars, they play music, they buy stuff, they walk to Lawrence Street to buy their groceries because there's nothing downtown. But that's a tiny little ecosystem. You do that 5,000 times, you'd have a thriving downtown. And when that happens, you're going to get more people buying houses in the West End, which are more affordable, in the Donovan, which is more affordable. They can't afford Wembley, they can't afford New Sudbury. It's going to be a slow,
like you said, it's like dropping a rock in the water, and the ripple effect goes on throughout the whole city from the heart, right? If you get the heart right.
Exactly. And I think we're not thinking that. My only response is that the city council really, they don't care about it. They just don't, they drive in. I bet, I know two who do genuinely care. They are one of them is Fern Cormier, obviously. It's his responsibility, that area. But I really don't feel they care. I just think, they just want economic development for their area, and they're not thinking of the city as a whole. Vancouver has an interesting approach. Their councillors are not responsible for an area. You're elected in an area, but you're all equally responsible for the entire city. And as much as Vancouver is ridiculously expensive, you look at the planning in that city, it's consistent everywhere. There's trees, there's parks, there's townhouses, there's big houses, there's lots of density. They really, really got it together. The reason the cost of living is so high is because the quality of life is so amazing there. You can't walk, half an hour without a swimming pool or a park. Kids, So it's just a different approach. We need a more holistic approach, a way more sort of bigger picture, I think, a meta, and combining the quality of life with economics, not one or the other. Because if we have just one, we're going to have 20 theaters funded by taxpayers. And if you have the other, we're going to have a bunch of parking lots and highways. That's kind of our options right now in Sudbury, it seems like.
Yeah, I think you're kind of you're making the case for something that I suggested on a couple of shows was a think tank idea. If you got a bunch of really, including someone like a Bruce Mao or whatever, and you just really got together and you said, okay, these are our issues. Let's look. We're not elected. We have nothing to lose. We just have a lot of knowledge and experience, and we know it works because we've seen things. And let's just look at this thing, and now let's present this. Let's present what our findings were, and even volunteer. I know there's other people who care enough that have the experience, like yourself, you know what I mean, with all the background that you have, being part of a table, just giving of your time because you care about the city, and then present those findings. Don't have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars for consultants or whatever, because we've done that already.
Yeah, and they just end up on the shelf.
Yeah.
The only people that benefit from those are the consultants. Yeah. I mean, I would love to sit and do a study of Sudbury for $450,000. That'd be a fun gig,
I guess so. And a lot of these people aren't even from here.
They're online. I mean, these documents are there, and there's some brilliant ideas in there. But we have an architecture school right downtown. If you go and look at the projects those students are doing, there's I don't know how many students are in a class, probably 100. And every once in a while I'll go and look at the reviews, and it's like, wow, there's some really good ideas in here. Why are we not posting these? Why are we not looking at these?
Yeah. I think
I don't see any city.
Yeah, I think we talked about too was this is an opportunity to see how badly we've done certain things represents, maybe as one door closes, maybe another one can open, right? Look, we tried this. We're not good at it the way we're going about it. We need to rethink this. We need to really sit down again and go through things.
I had a friend visiting a while back, and we were driving in on Brady into the downtown. And where the crosses are behind the theater center? And so there's 200 now. So we're parked in traffic, a homeless guy begging us for money, City Hall, Sudbury Theater Center, and 200 marked grave or crosses of overdose. Welcome to Sudbury. There's just, how can you That is our gateway to our downtown.
And I think it's telling. I think it's like they say, a picture's worth 1,000 words, right? And it's really telling when you just look there and you see that, and you like it's like contrasted around all of these edifices that we put our time and energy and whatever into, when we have these social problems that really need to be addressed, right?
And that's a whole other kettle of fish there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it even if you don't have the solution, it's not going to work. If we just looked at what we've been doing, say I'm going to say 20 years now, if we tracked every decision, that would actually be a good project for this think tank idea of yours. If we tracked every decision and tracked it 20 years forward, just like you do for a vision plan for your life when you're planning your goals and objectives, if we reverse engineered where we are right now, I'll bet you there would be 90% red X's. And yet, what are we doing in council right now? They haven't even changed the structure of how they make decisions. So clearly, there needs a revamp. So I think we need a really strong mayoral candidate who has a vision and who can kick some butt, I think, who can come in and just inspire people and shake it up. It's going to be hard, though, because the bureaucracy is very, very powerful. But, need a visionary. That's all I can say.
Well, and right now, I don't know if we're going to get that. We're going to get a former MP, more than likely, in terms of Paul Lefebvre, who's running, and with that kind of name, and history, more than likely, and connections. It looks to me like that's going to be, if he doesn't get in, that's a miracle. So hopefully he's the one that can have the vision for kind of what we're talking about now.
Hope so. We will see.
And I don't
right.
mean,
Well,
yeah. Thanks a lot, Pierre, for being with us today. Really appreciate it. Hopefully you can come back soon. We've been talking about this coming on the show for a long time. So
yeah, we can. We can. What we can do is maybe we can have one. I like this sort of idea of just one sort of general topic rather than specific news story for me.
Yeah.
And then we can. I have a lot of opinions on things. But yeah, I would be back again. We can do this for sure.
I guess so. You've been awesome. Yeah.
All right. Well,
I like that idea. So thanks for being with us today, Pierre. I'm sure everybody who watches, and you shared the heck out of this thing too. So thanks for doing that. And we've had a lot of viewers for that. And Reba's saying good morning. A few other people, good morning. Good morning to Pierre. Thanks for being with us. So yeah, let's do this again soon. And give me a call and we'll discuss what you're up to these days and go through things.
Maybe we'll plant a think tank and start a revolution.
That always sounds good to me. So, okay. Thanks, Pierre.
Okay.
Have a good one.
Later.
Okay, ciao. That was Pierre Bonhomme. He introduced himself and his background. As you can see, he knows a lot about a lot of things. Former architect that, has designed some really incredible edifices himself and comes from an incredible family that, Miles says, best guest ever. Thank you. Too bad we didn't get that just before he left, because that would have been awesome for him, because he definitely is. And Reba says, sharing to her groups every morning. Thank you so much for doing that. We really appreciate all the sharing, because the more people that know we're having a conversation here, they then can be part of the conversation. So thanks for liking. If you can like the video, it always helps to get it out there, because Facebook says, oh, people are watching this. Okay, we're going to do our part to share it as well. But yeah, so Pierre, we've known each other for quite some time now. And he's just an incredible guy from an incredible family. His father was a well-known real estate agent in town. He is the uncle of a well-known Olympic hockey player, Tessa Bonhomme, and his brother, who's the father of Tessa, is an OHL scout. One of his other brothers played guitar for a gentleman by the name of Dwight Yoakam and teaches guitar at a prestigious guitar school in California. And then he has another brother that plays keyboards in a little-known band called the Beach Boys. So, wow, not too bad of a pedigree. And he has done some incredible things and been a part of this community. He really does care about the community. He's been on, like he said, councils and planning committees, and he worked for Music and Film in Motion, part of bringing all of the movie industry here And yeah, so incredible guy. And Mahara Kirill was supposed to be on this morning too. They are friends, and we've done podcasts with them here in the studio. And so hopefully we'll have more of him and more people like him as the show goes on. Yeah, just to come have a little chit chat about a topic, and then they're gone. I invited him for the whole show, talking about all of the different stories that are going on. But I think that was perfect for him to chime in on what's going on downtown. He really loves downtown, and he has a lot of experience in, like, as he mentioned, what's going on in Rhode Island and other places. So let's get to the weather, because the weather actually is a big story today. We usually begin with the weather, but because Pierre had to go early, we had to start with him. So anyways, we'll be back with some weather. As mentioned, here is the weather, and I'm just getting my screen. That was actually funny. Anyways, I didn't mean to do that little extra intro. But anyways, 15 degrees. It's mainly sunny. Humidity is 88. And we got... heat warning, right? So let's just click on that and see what happens. Heat warning. So Environment Canada, Greater City of Sudbury and vicinity, hot and humid conditions are expected to continue today and Tuesday. Temperatures reaching over or near 30 degrees Celsius with humidex values of near 36 are expected again today and possibly Tuesday. Overnight lows are near 18 degrees, which is usually a hot summer day, and will provide little relief from the heat. Slightly cooler temperatures are expected on Wednesday. Thank goodness, a little bit of relief there. The risks are to young children, obviously pregnant women, older adults, people with chronic illness, and people working or exercising outdoors, correct? People on roofs, construction, make sure you drink a lot of water. And yeah, so watch for the effects of heat illness, swelling, rash, cramps, fainting, heat exhaustion, heat stroke, and the worsening of some health conditions. Drink plenty of water, as I said, even before you feel thirsty. Stay in a cool place. Find the shade. Seek swimming pools, showers or baths, air-conditioned places like public buildings. And never have people or pets inside a parked vehicle. That should be common knowledge. We heard some really tragic stories recently in that, and I even saw a documentary about families that accidentally left children inside their vehicles, and just the, we judge them a lot in the media and in social media, a lot of shaming, but they were explaining how busy their lives were and how odd it was that even happened. And so make sure, you do have to kind of really make sure you did drop your child off at daycare on the way, and you didn't just go to work and park and go in, because sometimes they're sleeping or whatever and they're quiet. But it's happened. It's really sad. But anyway, so let's hope we don't do that. Heat warnings are issued when very high temperatures or humidity conditions are expected to pose an elevated risk of heat illness, such as heat stroke or heat exhaustion. So yeah, continue to check in just to make sure what's going on with the weather, and that's what we're doing today. Today is sunny, becoming a mix of sun and cloud, like we said, high of 31, humidex 34, UV index 8 or very high, partly cloudy, 30% chance of showers overnight tonight, and the wind will be its normal 20 kilometers, becoming light this evening, low of 18 as we mentioned, and then Tuesday mix of sun and cloud, 40% chance of showers in the evening with the risk of thunderstorm, wind northeast 20 kilometers, becoming light in the afternoon, high of 29, and the humidex 24, so pretty much ditto. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday altogether very hot. Tuesday, as we said, 40% chance of precipitation, though that wasn't mentioned earlier as far as I know. And Wednesday as well, talking showers, Thursday talking showers, and Friday showers. That's interesting. So, and then also Saturday. So we could get some rain, which would be a relief for the hot temperatures. So hopefully we do. And hopefully all of y'all can stay cool out there and don't end up in any of the, don't end up getting overheated. We'll be right back. Yeah, so as mentioned, we had a lot of things to talk about today, but one of them we'll just get to is is some sports took place on Saturday, and our junior Spartans are in the playoffs. So we'll have some details on that right after this. Yeah, and here you go. I'm going to share my screen with y'all. Here it is, Sudbury Junior Spartans playing again at James Rome Field this Saturday that just went by, right before the heat wave. Thankfully, you don't want these guys dressed like that, giving it their all like they always do in the hot temperatures we just had. So that would be definitely dangerous. Relentless in their pursuit of a complete game this season, the Sudbury Junior Spartans came closer than ever to realizing that goal at James Rome Sports Complex on Saturday, earning a semifinal berth as a result. The Spartans scored early and often to defeat the Quint Skyhawks 41-0 in their Ontario Summer Football League quarterfinal, a game that was more competitive than the stat line might suggest. Certainly would have been a much closer affair had not Paolo Grossi and his teammates been so well prepared. So yeah, congratulations to the Sudbury Junior Spartans. The Sudbury Spartans, I think, go ahead this Saturday in the Sioux for their last game, and then they're in the playoffs as well. So really exciting. This is, again, the only game they won was lost. The Junior Spartans was one game, their first game out of town. Other than that, they've crushed all the opponents. They are definitely on their way to winning the championship. So it'll be really exciting football coming up shortly from the Junior Spartans. And we'll have more on that as we go forward. But we'll be back with more Sudbury-related stories right after this. And here we are. We're back. So I got the new kind of screen sharing thing here, the template. And just whenever we have a new guest, something new, just things. Our feed on the radio, there's all kinds of glitches this morning. I was able to figure it out on the fly as Pierre introduced himself, thankfully. Thankful for him being so comfortable on doing podcasts and things like that, because he does have experience. Now, here's something interesting. There's an OPP alert out for a 64-year-old man, Lawrence or Larry Prisk. He was last seen in Parry Sound about a month and a half ago, but was potentially in his apartment off Highway 69 on June 29th. Prisk could have been traveling to Barrie or Sudbury. He does not have a vehicle, so he would have been traveling on foot or by transit, and he's described as 5'7" in height, 150 pounds, and a thin build. Prisk has short brown hair, blue eyes, and unshaven facial hair. Anyone with information is asked to contact West Parry Sound OPP at 1-800-310-1122. Now, I do believe I have a picture of him here. Here you go. Hopefully, you can see it. And if you have seen him, you know who to contact. Now, I'm getting these stories from Sudbury.com. They have their Good Morning Sudbury, stories to start our day. And here's the next one. Hundreds of people turned up to participate in Sudbury's Pride March downtown Saturday. One of the highlights, you can see if you click on their story, you can get more about it. But it was planned by Furte, Sudbury Pride for 2022. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. Sudbury Pride Chair Caitlin Kotela said the celebration felt absolutely incredible. She said her first Pride event was back in 2019 and then was followed by 2 years of a virtual celebration due to the pandemic. So being back in person and getting to see everyone has felt so wonderful. I think that's true of any festival, any event that we're getting back and in person. I was in the Sioux this weekend, and they had the Rotary Festival, and they had a Queen tribute band, which was really, really incredible. They sounded a lot like them, and the people, you can just tell they were all out. No one, didn't have a smile or didn't look happy to be out there, and just. They had the Rib Fest in conjunction with that. So it was a real kind of festival atmosphere. And this would have been the same. Just getting back in person. She also said, it's been really wonderful feeling, a real wonderful feeling to see so much support coming from this community. The large turnout at the events, which included the Pride Day in the park, held this year at the MacEwan School of Architecture instead of Memorial Park, as well as the Pride March, was especially nice given it's the 25th anniversary of Sudbury Pride. Now, something my father-in-law would have been at was the Coppercliff High School reunion. Yes, I'm sure he would have been there early. He's definitely very nostalgic when it comes to things like that, as I am as well. But Coppercliff is known as a tight-knit community or town, especially back in the day. And this was evident of the joyful hugs exchanged and the laughter resounding from the former students shared their memories and caught up at the high school Coppercliff reunion July 15th. The reunion marking the 40th anniversary of the high school's 1980 closure was originally supposed to be held 2020, but as we said before, the pandemic was here to rain on the parade, so to speak. So the high school actually closed in 1980. It was originally supposed to be, the pandemic stopped the reunion from getting together. And so they didn't have a way to have the reunion for the last 2 years, although falling short of the organizers' original hopes of about 240 people registered to attend, and the previous Coppercliff High School reunion held in 1990 actually attracted about 2,500. So you can see why maybe they would be, a little underwhelmed by the turnout with the 240 people as opposed to 2,500 people back in 1990. The event began with a golf tournament and then a meet and greet gala reception at Steelworkers Hall Friday evening, and was to continue Saturday with a walking tour of Coppercliff and another gala meet and greet reception also to be held at Steelworkers Hall. So that was pretty exciting. I know I'm going to ask my father-in-law how it went. And as we talked about this morning with Pierre, the council, there's going to be a mayoral election coming up, election for council. Today marks the 100th day, and that might have been yesterday, until the October 24th municipal election and school board election. And the city is reminding people to check the voters list. The voters list for municipal and school board election is created and provided to the city by Municipal Property Assessment Corporation, which collects and confirms voter information to prepare the final list this summer. Residents can visit voterlookup.ca. So if you want to make sure your voice is heard in the election and you want to vote, go to voterlookup.ca. You can click on the link right on the Sudbury.com website for Good Morning Sudbury, morning stories to start your day. It's there to make sure that you're on the voting list and your personal information is correct. This is an important step for everybody, but especially for those who are first-time voters or who have moved or changed their name since the last municipal school board election in 2018, according to the city. This lists for federal, provincial, and municipal elections are not all the same. So don't think that just because maybe you've made those changes on a federal or municipal or provincial list that it also applies to municipal. Federal meaning country, provincial meaning province of Ontario, municipal meaning the city of Sudbury. And They're urging people to make sure the information is up to date, which will save voters time on election day. Here's a really cool story. Sudbury jazz group called Avatar, led by former Sudburian Sundar Viswanathan, was awarded Jazz Album of the Year in the group category at the Junos for their second album, Worldview. Viswanathan, who now lives in Toronto and has been a music professor at York University for more than 2 decades, said he was satisfied just to be nominated, but thought, there's no way I'm going to win, which I think a lot of us would think if we were nominated. I had no expectation of winning this, he said. I have a friend who's also nominated and thought he's definitely going to get it, So anyways, I did not have any expectations. And when it happened, I was actually in a state of shock for a while. Congratulations to the to you and to your group and to your album Worldview. If you are a jazz fan, definitely check it out. And again, weather advisory, weather warning today in Sudbury. You want to make sure that you stay cool, stay hydrated, and make sure that you stay in a cool place and with some cool people, maybe even, right? This is our headline we're going to finish with today, and it's a little bit on the theme that we talked with Pierre about. No decisions on how the City Council will spend the $90 million earmarked for mothballed KED. So in that headline alone tells you how the city's kind of going, seem to be flying by the seat of our pants. No decisions on how we're going to spend some money now that didn't go ahead. So it's not like, okay, if plan A doesn't go ahead, we got plan B here. It's all kind of mapped out on a chart, ahead of time to see all the different options, and everything's transparent, and we have a real clear vision for the city. And I know I can say that because everybody I talk to feels the same way, and I think the results speak for themselves. This will be a future decision of council on which capital projects with the useful life of at least 30 years the funds will be used for. As you can see, just a big pick of money. The city's change, of course, on the Kingsway Entertainment District means substantial kitty set aside for the development can be spent on something else. Although what specifically remains a mystery for now. The mystery money. We'll see where it goes. There was no decision or resolution at council meeting redirecting the funding, said Sasha Novak, a city spokesperson, in a statement to the Sudbury Star. This will be a future decision of council on which capital projects with a useful life of at least 30 years would be used for. The city borrowed $90 million 2 years ago on a 30-year repayment term to support the KED project. At the same time, the event center was expected to cost $100 million, but council learned in recent weeks, as we talked about, estimated costs more than doubled to $215 million. As well as the library they greenlighted also doubled, but they greenlighted that and went ahead with it. Due to a variety of issues, including the cost of materials and supply chain snags. Legal challenges were also blamed for the increase in the budget. Delays from, and this is a quote from a staff member, delays in the form of objections from individuals and community groups prevented a competitive design build process for proceeding in a timely manner. Delays in the project have stretched to beyond 5 years and pushed the details of the cost analysis to 2022. Staff said that the city would have to secure an additional $115 million in financing, and interest rates would have climbed significantly from a couple of years ago in order to make a new arena a reality. That was too steep a cost and too much of a risk for all the members of council who unanimously rejected a motion last week to accept the revised budget for the event center, I think, which was $150 million. We had a period of low cost rates We did quite well with acquiring debt of 2.63%, said Mayor Brian Bigger in Tuesday's meeting. That will serve as well. We will be able to prioritize, our future council will be able to prioritize the use of those funds. Council had already approved a budget for Junction East project at 98 million, which just rounded off to 100 million, is also steeper than originally anticipated, although in this case there is government funding available to offset the municipal outlay, which is what I thought might happen for the KED as well. I thought the idea of money coming from more private sources or other sources, government sources, could have still been in the works. I don't know why that was not possible. Okay, so my sound is lost. I'm sorry, Miles. I hope that it's back. If it is, please let me know. I don't want to, keep talking without sound. So hopefully that is fixed. But anyways, we are out of time, unfortunately. We'll be back to talk more KED, more city, and elections coming up, and things with Laurentian University, planning with downtown, and other things in the city, all kinds of things going up. I really appreciate you being here. Continue to like and share. Thanks to our Facebook and YouTube monitors for being with us and keeping us, within the community standards. You have a job to do. Thank all of you for liking and sharing this each and every day. Thank you for your comments. I really appreciate it. We really appreciate it here. And I hope you have a great day today. Stay cool. And we'll be back tomorrow with more Sudbury News Talk on CKLU. You can stay tuned now for Earshot Daily. Thanks, everyone. Have a great one. Ciao.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.